Welcome to our presentation. Within this presentation, we will be proposing to you our research project on how climate migration in Bangladesh has been represented by the UK media in the past decade. This presentation will include our background readings of the literature, the development of our project and research question, and our research design, methods and analysis, as well as the feasibility of our project.
Our two initial readings on migration were The Effect of Environmental Change on Human Migration by Black et al. And The Role of Aspirations in Migration by Carling. Black et al.'s paper provides a good framework for the impact the environment has on migration. This paper is useful as the environment can frequently be left out as a key aspect of migration and is not often considered to overlap with other aspects of it. In Carling's paper, people's aspirations play a role in migration, and it has been seen here that sometimes migration can be viewed as the lesser of two evils. This paper also shows that even if people want to, there are sometimes barriers to migration, and some people are forced into it. These two readings help to inspire us to focus our environmental migration, as there seems to be a gap in the research around this area, and it is a topic which we all collectively possess an interest in. In the next slide, we will now be looking into how we have developed our idea.
We started to narrow down our ideas from the broad topic of environmental migration based on what we found interesting. We thought it would be interesting to look at the differences in how migration from developed and developing countries was represented in the media. We found research on environmental migration in Brazil, the Maldives and the USA. However, there are few readings and research on migration in developed countries, so we decided to focus on developing countries instead. This led to readings such as McLeeman and Hunter 2009, which talk about the multiple factors that play a role in choosing to migrate, notably the barriers faced by people in developing countries because of poverty. We thought it would be interesting to look at how migrants in developing countries were represented by the media because of the readings we have done, such as the 2011 Black et al. Reading mentioned earlier, that talk about there being a lack of research on the integration between the environmental factors and other drivers of migration. Furthermore, the readings mentioned previously all pointed specifically towards climate migration as a response to climate events. So we decided to focus on this rather than any form of environmental migration. In addition, we know that climate change is a phenomenon that it is having an increasing impact on many people around the world. In the next slide, it will be explained how we refined our question further to come up with our final research question.
From our background reading, we know that Bangladesh is highly affected by the climate, hence why we chose to focus on it. From the literature, we could also see that there were two main cyclones that were mentioned very frequently. Therefore, we initially chose to do a 20-year timescale for our question so that we would be able to include these cyclones. However, after consideration, we thought that this timescale wouldn't be feasible with the amount of time that we had to do the research, so we changed our question to include the last decade of 2010 to 2020. We believe that this will still produce a large amount of data, and the news articles from this time period still reference the two major cyclones. Within the literature, climate change is often framed as one of the many reasons for migration. However, in the news articles that we have read, climate change is included within the headlines and is often shown to be a major cause of migration by itself. Because of this, we have decided to see how climate migration is represented in the media and how it compares to the literature. And to narrow our question even further, we have decided to focus on UK media only, making our final question, how has climate migration in Bangladesh been represented in online UK newspapers over the last decade? Now that we have mentioned our research question, we will move on to research design. After we finalised our question, we started to discuss the methods and research design that we would use. According to Cloak et al., documentary media produces a whole range of material, and it plays a major role in constructing our knowledge about a specific topic, in this case climate migration. It also tells us about what is going on in the world. This is why we decided to look at the media representation of climate migrants. Considering this, we wanted to use a research design that encapsulates the wide variety of information that is published by the media. This is able to be achieved through the use of a qualitative research design. The quote by Sarah Watmore states that the world holds many voices. The voices of those affected by climate change is often written and narrated within the media and news reports. Therefore, we think the best way to show the range of voices, narratives and stories told by the media surrounding climate migration in Bangladesh is to use a qualitative research design. After deciding that we wanted to do a qualitative research design, we move on to the methodology. In order to find and collect a sample of news articles to analyse, we'll be using the database of Nexus. And when searching on this website for news articles, we will be searching for Bangladesh climate migration. The search filters that we will use can be seen on the slides. They include the date of publication, keywords surrounding our research topic, the location of publication, and the newspaper articles. We will also be sorting the results by relevance and choosing the first 15 articles that come up. An example of the search can be seen on the right-hand side of the slide in Figure 5. We will look through each of the articles, and if they are not relevant and specifically about climate migration in Bangladesh, for example, Article 4 of Figure 5, we will disregard them and choose the next relevant article instead. Once we have collected our dataset, we will begin to work individually. To do this, we will randomly allocate the articles among our group so that we each have a smaller dataset to work with and analyse. Once we each have our own dataset, we will be able to briefly read through them and make a memo of any themes or keywords that are reoccurring that could later be used in the analysis. We will also be making a note of any photographs that the articles contain and saving them into a document for later analysis.
In order to analyse our data, we will be using content analysis, interpretive analysis, and visual analysis. Content analysis is defined by COPE as a type of coding. It is a quantitative technique and a system of identifying terms, phrases, or actions that appear in a text, document, audio recording, or video, which then involves counting how many times they appear and in what context. This is a useful technique for our research, as it helps to determine frequencies, correlations, and variations. Coding such as content analysis also helps to reduce data by putting it into smaller packages, allowing us to make the most of qualitative data we accumulate. Interpretive analysis will be used as it enables us to see how concepts interconnect, as analysis is more than just describing data, as we want to be able to interpret meanings and explain or understand the data generated. Visual analysis will also be used in order to pick out themes found within photos. In doing this, we were able to see recurring patterns, enabling us to look into more depth on how individuals are represented in Bangladesh. In the next slide, we will be looking into feasibility.
To ensure our project is feasible, we are sourcing our data from online using databases available to us already. This means that we won't have to spend time generating our own data. In order to reduce the possibility of having too much data available to us, we shortened the time period of our question from 20 years to 10. This means that we can focus in more depth on the articles we find. We are also aiming to compile a total of 15 articles, as this is a realistic target that gives us enough articles to analyse, as we will be randomly selecting a few from this selection. This also means that we have enough time for analysis.
We hope this project proposal has shown you what we would like to accomplish with our research. Thank you for listening.